All right, hello again, Jeff Scott with what will hopefully be the last lecture for Chapter 8 for 152, 153 Mobile Web App Development, iOS, or the Swing class for Spring 2015. We left off last time on about page 291, and we've added quite a bit of code, and the author now wants to explain the code that has been added. You'll notice I've got plenty of errors, so I'm going to take a look at what I've got here, and hopefully we'll fix them. All right. So, it says first we get the search string from the search bar and the index of the scope that's selected, and then we clear the filtered items. All right, so we've got this here first, and I went back and looked at this a couple times, and I didn't see anything that looked wrong. Reference to property, short names, button index. It doesn't like something that's in there. So I'll have to double check that again. Okay, hold on just one second. I'm going to get my hard copy here of the Chapter 8 stuff. Again, we're on about page 291, and there's 299 pages at the end of the chapter. So it says first we get the search index, the search string from the search bar and the index of the scope bar that's selected. Then we clear the list of filtered names. So we've got let search string right here equal search controller dot search bar dot text. Let button index equal search controller dot search bar dot selected scope index. Filtered names dot remove all, keep capacity true. All right. Next we check that the search string itself is not empty. Now we define a closure for matching names against the search string. This closure is called for each name in the names directory and will be given a name as a string and return true if the value matches and false if there is no match. We first check that the length of the name is consistent with the selected scope button and return false if it isn't. So this is where it started to really break down. Looks like I'm missing some. Oh, there it is. Let filter. So let filter string bool equal name in. Let name length equal count elements of name. That's all okay. You have button index equal short names button index and name length greater than or equal to long name size. Now, I tried putting that self in there because it appeared as though I was getting an error without it. That was one of the things that was recommended. So that's why it was added here, and that's why it was added here. You notice once they're out, I get errors also. So it says if that check, we return false if it's not the short or the long. So we're making a check on the size. All right, and let range. So we look for the search string as a substring of the name. If we find it, we have a match. Let range equal name, range of string, search string, options, and a string compare options, case sensitive search, insensitive search. Range nil, return range not equal nil. I'd like to fix this. I'd like to fix all of these, but see, it says when fix it, insert self. So I put that in, and it still doesn't like the way that it's set up here. So I did both the ones they asked, but I'm still getting errors here. All right, and I'm not sure what that is. So next we iterate over all the keys in the names dictionary, each of which corresponds to an array of names. Key A maps to the names that start with A, key B with the names that start with B, etc. For each key we get the names in the filter and use it for our closure. So that's this for loop that you see in here. Again, I put it in exactly as it's shown in the book, except I added the self here because the system seemed to want that. And it seemed also like there was something here that it must have wanted for a self also, or something. The variable used within its own initial value. So you can see I had to put self in here all over the place just to get this thing, or some of the errors that were in here, to be removed. And I tried putting self in here, and it didn't appear to make any difference. So this is just, for lack of better words, kind of become a cluster here. I mean, there's all sorts of mistakes that are in here. All right, we're supposed to add some code here at the bottom, and I don't normally do this. In fact, I told you I wasn't going to do this. I've got that here. There's that return. This is what's shown here on the bottom of page 293. And you can see with that also all sorts of errors just all over the place in here. So what I'm going to do, the author tells you to run it, then it says there's one more thing to fix, and you got to fix it on 295. What I'm going to do, just for the heck of it, is I'm going to close this. So I'm going to save, and I'm going to close the project. All right, then I'm going to go over to my APRES stuff, and I'm going to find in the examples in Chapter 8 this sections, which is the one I believe that we've been working on. And I'm going to run it just to see if the author's works or if there's mistakes in the author's program also. Again, this book isn't old, but it's not exactly new either, and things have changed, and some of the requirements and things that you look for have changed over time. So try to run this and see what happens, if I get errors or what. And I just moved up all the way to page 296 because if the author's works, I'm going to do the end of the chapter here. I'm going to do his stuff in here. I hope to, by the weekend, get through chapter C. Build failed. All right, so his stuff doesn't work either. That's not really good. All right, let's just finish this up. We'll go and take a look at what's here. All right, so there were about 4 projects built in this chapter, and I got 3 of them to work. So, all right. As it says here, the UI search controller does a good job switching between 2 tables in our latest example. So good you might find it hard to believe there's a switch going on at all. Apart from the fact that you've seen all the code, there's a couple of visual clues also. The search table is a plain table. It has no section index. It says if you want more proof, you can get to it with a neat new feature of Xcode 6 called View Debugging that lets you take snapshots of the view hierarchy of a running application and examine them in the editor's code area. All right, well, I'm going to have a problem probably with this just because of the fact that the program doesn't compile anyway. But we'll try it just to see. So I'm going to click Debug, View Debugging, Capture View Hierarchy, and as you can see, it's grayed out. Okay. So I'm done with this chapter. All right, that's really about all that I could do. So we continue working with table views in the next chapter. We learn how to use them to present hierarchical data, and we see how to create content views that allow the user to edit data selected in a table view. So I'll just pick it up then. So if you can see this, We do a file. Let me close the project here. Alright, and I want to minimize this for right now. So in Chapter 9, it looks like there's only one project that's built. 9 and 10 only have one project. Hoping to get done with both of those this week. Let's take a quick look before I finish up and see at least if the author's works for Chapter 9. Getting a little bit frustrating with this stuff not working, but you know, we've worked through it for most of the stuff that's in here. Again, you notice hopefully that build failed. So I'm sure that's going to be another one that I'm going to sit and work on, and hopefully things will work. Hopefully we won't go from bad to worse here with what we're doing, but we'll see. And I'll be back with that shortly.